Welcome to English Now. Today's video is called The Easy English Story That Will Train Your Brain to Think in English. If you already speak English well but want to sharpen your thinking, improve your flow, and strengthen your natural intuition of the language, this session is for you. Here is how this video will work. You will listen to a simple story told in clear, natural English. Then you will repeat it with me, practicing shadowing and training your brain to think directly in English. The goal is to help you understand faster, react faster, and feel more confident in real conversations. Before we begin, make sure to check the first pinned comment and download the ebook, Train Your Advanced English, Fluency in Practice. It will give you extra exercises to continue improving after this video. Now, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let your mind switch fully into English mode. Let's begin our story. It was early in the morning when Daniel stepped outside his apartment. The air was cool and the streets were still quiet. He enjoyed this moment every day, the calm before the world woke up. Daniel walked to his favorite cafe, just a few blocks away. The small bell above the door rang softly as he entered. The smell of fresh coffee filled the room. "Good morning, Daniel," the barista said. She already knew his order. Daniel smiled, sat by the window, and watched the city slowly come alive. He opened his notebook and wrote a simple reminder at the top of the page. "Think clearly today." It was something he told himself every morning. He believed that clear thinking was the key to a good day. As Daniel sipped his coffee, he noticed something unusual outside. Across the street, an elderly man was standing near a bus stop, holding a small box. The man looked confused, turning the box around in his hands as if searching for something. Daniel felt a spark of curiosity. He closed his notebook, finished the rest of his coffee, and stepped outside. He walked toward the man with a calm and friendly smile. "Good morning, sir," Daniel said. "Do you need any help?" The man looked up, relieved. "Yes, actually," he said. "I'm trying to deliver this box to my granddaughter, but I think I got off at the wrong stop." Daniel nodded. "Where is she expecting you?" The man pointed at a small piece of paper taped to the top of the box. It had an address written in uneven handwriting. Daniel recognized the street. "You're not far," he said. "I can walk with you if you'd like." The man's face brightened. "That would be wonderful. Thank you." They began walking slowly down the sidewalk. Cars passed by, shops opened their doors, and the morning grew warmer. Daniel listened as the man talked about his granddaughter, how she loved drawing, how she always asked him for stories, and how she had been waiting for this small gift for weeks. Daniel smiled. He enjoyed listening. There was something peaceful about the man's voice, gentle, steady, and full of affection. As they turned the corner, Daniel noticed the man walking more slowly. "Are you feeling all right?" Daniel asked. The man nodded. "Yes, just a little tired. But I'm happy you're here." They kept walking, step by step, moving closer to the destination. They reached a quieter street, lined with tall trees whose leaves rustled gently in the morning breeze. Daniel slowed his pace to match the man's steps. "Your granddaughter must be excited to see you," Daniel said. "Oh yes," the man replied. "She always tells me I'm her favorite storyteller. I think this box will make her smile." Daniel looked at the box again. It was small, wrapped in simple brown paper, tied with a thin piece of string. There was something old-fashioned about it, something warm and sincere. As they continued walking, the man pointed to a narrow alley that connected two streets. "We can go through there," he said. "It's a shortcut." Daniel nodded and followed him. The alley was quiet, with sunlight filtering between buildings and casting long shapes on the ground. Their footsteps echoed softly as they walked. "Do you visit her often?" Daniel asked. "Not as much as I'd like," the man answered. "She lives with her mother, and they moved here recently. I'm still learning the neighborhood." Daniel smiled. "Well, you're doing pretty well so far." The man chuckled. "I'm doing my best." They reached the end of the alley and stepped onto another street, this one more residential. Children played with scooters on the sidewalk. Someone watered plants on a balcony above. A dog barked in the distance. Daniel glanced at the address again. "We're close," he said. The man looked relieved. "That's good. I didn't want her to worry." As they walked, Daniel noticed something else. The man kept the box close to his chest with both hands, as if it were fragile or precious. Daniel's curiosity grew. "If you don't mind me asking," Daniel said gently, "what's inside the box?" The man hesitated for a moment. Then he smiled softly. "It's a story," he said. "A story I wrote just for her." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You wrote it yourself?" "Yes," the man replied, "and I recorded myself reading it. The box has the printed story and a little audio player. She loves listening to my voice before she sleeps." Daniel felt a warm feeling in his chest. "That's beautiful," he said. The man nodded, looking down at the box with quiet pride. "She told me once that when she hears my voice, she feels brave. So I wanted her to have that whenever she needs it." They kept walking, side by side, moving steadily along the sidewalk. After a few minutes, the man slowed again, placing one hand against a fence to steady himself. Daniel immediately stepped beside him. "Do you want to rest for a moment?" Daniel asked. "That would be good," the man said softly. They stopped under the shade of a tall tree. Daniel helped the man sit on a low concrete step near a garden gate. "Thank you," the man said, breathing slowly. "I didn't expect the walk to be this long." "It's all right," Daniel replied. "We can take all the time you need." For a moment, they sat in peaceful silence. A gentle wind moved the branches above them. The man looked at Daniel with gratitude. "You remind me of my grandson," he said. "He always takes care of others." Daniel smiled. "That's kind of you to say." The man looked down the street. "Her house should be 2 blocks from here," he said softly. I just need a minute. Daniel nodded. No rush. After a short rest, the man stood up again. Daniel offered his arm, and the man accepted it with a grateful smile. They continued walking, slowly but steadily. As they approached the next corner, Daniel asked, "What inspired you to write this story for her?" The man's eyes lit up. She told me she was afraid to sleep alone in her new room. So I created a story about a little girl who discovers that her imagination can protect her, that she's stronger than the shadows she sees at night. Daniel listened attentively. In the story, the man continued, the girl meets a bird made of light. The bird follows her wherever she goes, guiding her through dark forests and quiet nights. I wanted her to feel that she has a light, too, inside her. Daniel nodded slowly. That's a powerful message. I hope she understands it, the man said. She's very brave, but sometimes children don't realize how strong they are. They turned the corner, and Daniel recognized the street immediately. Small houses lined both sides, each with a small garden or a potted plant near the door. We're almost there, Daniel said. The man smiled with relief. Good. I want her to get this today. They walked past a row of homes painted in soft colors. A woman stepped out with a stroller, offering them a friendly wave. A teenager rode past on a bicycle. The morning had become brighter, fuller, more alive. Daniel felt a sense of purpose in this unexpected walk. He didn't know the man well, but he felt connected to him in a quiet, meaningful way. As they neared the end of the street, the man pointed to a small yellow house with a white fence. That's the one, he said, his voice full of gentle excitement. Daniel slowed his pace to match the man's growing anticipation. They approached the gate together. The man stopped, taking a long breath and tightening his grip on the box. Thank you for walking with me, he said. I'm not sure I could have done this alone. Daniel smiled softly. I'm glad I could help. The man looked at the door, as if preparing himself for the moment ahead. He took another breath. They neared it. The man paused for a moment, standing just outside the small white gate. His breathing steadied, and his eyes softened with a mix of excitement and tenderness. Daniel watched him quietly, giving him space. Even without words, the moment felt significant, like the final step of a long, meaningful journey. The man lifted his hand and gently pushed the gate open. It creaked softly as it swung inward. They walked together along the short stone path leading to the front door. Halfway to the house, the man stopped again. He looked at Daniel as if searching for something in his expression. Do I look all right? The man asked with a nervous smile. I haven't seen her in a few weeks. Daniel nodded. You look perfect. She's going to be happy to see you. The man exhaled slowly, comforted by the reassurance. He held the box carefully in both hands, as though it contained something fragile and precious, which, in a way, it did. They approached the door. Before the man could knock, the front window curtain moved slightly, as if someone inside had noticed them. A second later, the door opened. A woman stood there, likely the granddaughter's mother. Her face lit up instantly. "Dad," she said, smiling warmly. "What a surprise. I wasn't expecting you this early." The man smiled back, relieved and emotional. "I wanted to bring this to her myself," he said, lifting the box gently. The woman stepped forward and hugged him with care. Daniel stepped back slightly, giving them space while still staying close in case the man needed help. When the woman released her father from the hug, she noticed Daniel. "Oh," she said, smiling. "You must have helped him." Daniel nodded politely. "He was a little lost, so I walked with him." "Thank you," she said sincerely. "Really, thank you." The man turned toward Daniel. "I wouldn't have made it here without him." Daniel felt a warm wave of gratitude but simply nodded. At that moment, a small voice came from inside the house. "Grandpa." A little girl peeked out from behind her mother's leg. She had big curious eyes and held a colored pencil in her hand. The moment she saw him, her face burst into the widest smile. "Grandpa!" She ran out and wrapped her arms around him tightly. The man bent down slowly, embracing her with all the affection he had been saving for this moment. "I brought something for you," he said softly, lifting the box. The girl's eyes sparkled. "For me?" "Yes," he said. "A story. Just for you." She hugged the box to her chest. "Can we read it?" The man chuckled gently. "Of course we can." The mother looked at Daniel again. "Would you like to come in for a moment?" she asked kindly. "You walked all this way." Daniel shook his head politely. "Thank you, but I should get going." The man straightened up slowly, still holding on to his granddaughter's hand. He looked at Daniel with genuine appreciation. "Thank you," he said softly. "Not just for the walk, but for the company." Daniel nodded. "I'm glad I was there." The granddaughter waved at him enthusiastically. "Bye." Daniel smiled and waved back. "Bye." He took a few steps back as the family moved inside. The mother closed the gate gently, and the voices softened as the door shut behind them. Daniel stood there for a short moment, letting the warmth of the scene settle into his mind. A quiet satisfaction filled him, the kind that comes from doing something simple yet meaningful. He turned and began walking back down the street. The morning sun was now brighter, casting long, soft shadows along the sidewalk. As he walked, Daniel felt a strange but pleasant sense of clarity. His day had started with a simple coffee and a quiet moment by a window. But life had offered him something unexpected. A chance to help, to listen, and to connect. He walked past the gardens and small houses, the air now warm on his skin. Birds hopped along the fences. A distant sound of laughter carried through the neighborhood. Daniel slipped his hands into his pockets, feeling calm, grounded, and present. He wasn't in a hurry. He didn't need to be. Sometimes, he thought, the best moments are the ones you don't plan at all. He crossed the street and continued down the road that would take him back toward the cafe. The day was still just beginning, and the world around him felt alive with possibility. Daniel took a slow breath, enjoying the gentle rhythm of his steps. He didn't know what the rest of the day would bring. But for now, the simple feeling of walking, breathing, and being part of the quiet city morning was enough. And with that calm sense of purpose in his chest, Daniel kept moving forward. Daniel reached the corner where his walk had first begun. He glanced back once, remembering the small yellow house, the girl's smile, and the man's quiet gratitude. A simple morning had turned into something meaningful, a reminder that small acts can shape a day in ways we don't expect. He stepped back onto the main street, the city now fully awake. Cars passed, people hurried to work, and the cafe bell rang again as someone opened the door. Daniel smiled to himself and continued walking, feeling lighter, calmer, and more connected to the world around him. If you enjoyed this story and the practice it gave you, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this.